All right, I've done it. This is my first time recording, so welcome. The conversation I want to have with you today is about New Year's resolutions. Now, the thing that kills me about New Year's resolutions is SMART goals. People talk about SMART goals all the time. They're specific, they're measurable, they're ART, A-R-T. The problem with SMART goals is not that they're bad. They're great, but they have a purpose, and it's like having one tool and using it for everything. Imagine cleaning the windows with a hammer, is what I call it. You've got one tool, you love using that hammer, someone says clean the windows, and suddenly you're using SMART goals. It doesn't quite work. SMART goals are good for discrete achievements. This is like, I want to do a thing and I want to do it by a certain time. So I'm going to use a SMART goal to help me kind of get my head around that. So if I wanted to run a marathon, I would be really specific. I would say, I want to run a marathon in Philadelphia in July. Okay, so that's specific. It's measurable because I either run the marathon or I don't. I could even say, if I wanted to, run the marathon in under, I don't even know what a good marathon time is. I'm not a runner, so, oh, my battery's dying. Hold on. Okay, we're back. I just had to plug in the computer that's capturing the audio. That could have been critical. So I can be really specific. I can say, I want to run a marathon in Philadelphia in under 12 hours. Is it achievable? Well, that kind of depends on my training, right? But I could say I want to do it by next July, so I give myself 18 months. That's probably more achievable. Realistic? I guess I better look up what the SMART criteria is. Or maybe not, because that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about why not to use SMART goals, not to figure out what they are. So what I'm telling you is SMART goals are for discrete events that you want to accomplish one time and be done. And it helps you stay on track, figure out when you want to do it by, how you're going to do it, what exactly are you doing in order to know that you've been successful. So what's my beef with SMART goals? Why do I care so much about SMART goals and not using them? For me personally, I focus more on personal development. How am I going to change my habits? What behaviors am I working on this year? Those are things that I'm not going to accomplish one time. Let's say that I wanted to become an artist. Well, how do you set a SMART goal around being an artist? Like, I'm going to be an artist. You could set a SMART goal to say, like, I'm going to paint a painting. Like, is that really going to make me an artist? Not necessarily. It's going to give me a painting that I can show to people. But let's say I truly do want to become an artist. There's a lot that goes into that. It's really big. So in my mind, there's something better to use than SMART goals when you're trying to do something that's really big and complex with long-term recurring outcomes, not a one-time single discrete event. This book is called Before You Know It by John Bargh, PhD. I read this book a few years ago. I think it came out in 2017, original copyright. So I read this book a few years ago and came across this concept of implementation intentions. An implementation intention is essentially, it's as easy as a statement. If blank happens, then I will blank. Or instead of if, you can say when blank happens, then I will blank. And the reason that this is called an implementation intention is because you're stating your intention to implement some action based on a trigger. And so you can have a conditional trigger where you say if, then blank. Or you can have a time-based trigger, one that is already established, a pre-established trigger, where you say when blank happens, then I will blank. So let me give you an example of this with the marathon. Okay, let's say I want to run the marathon. That's a discrete event, but maybe I have in my mind I don't want to just run the marathon. The marathon is one thing I want to do, but really what I want to do is become someone who enjoys running. So let's say I don't really love running right now, and I am worried that if I don't run, my health isn't going to be what I need it to be, and so I want to run. But I don't want to run enough to actually run. And so I need a little bit of motivation and a little bit of help. I need some structure. I can set an implementation intention around that. For example, I can say, when I get out of bed in the morning, I will run, period. I could just say, I will run, period. Okay. You can be more specific. I could say, when I get out of bed in the morning, I will run to the end of the block and back. And then I can increment that intention as I get better and better at running. But just saying, when I get out of bed, I will run gives me the intention of doing that. When I get out of bed, I'm expecting to go for a run because I've conditioned myself. I've told myself that's what I'm going to do. And so the trigger happens and I do it. Now, of course, that also means I need to make room for that, remind myself, or do some of those things until the habit falls into place. But me actually following through on it is going to be so much stronger if I have the implementation intention in place instead of just me saying, I think I'll run tomorrow. When, why, what, how, and what about the day after that? So pick a trigger that's recurring that fits within a reasonable time or a reasonable space for you to do the thing you want to do. So let's say I want to be an artist, but I have a full-time job right now. So my implementation intention could be to say, when I finish dinner, I will paint for 30 minutes. Or when I go to the park, I will carry a sketchbook. I could say, when I call my friends, or when my friends call me, I will tell them about the art that I've created. Now, all of those are time-based, like kind of predetermined triggers. I use the word when, because those are things that I think are going to be recurring. I think it's reasonable to expect that my friends will call, that I will come home from work, or that I will finish dinner, or that I will wake up in the morning. And so I can set a when, then statement as my implementation intention. And that will help me have some recurring time periods in order to accomplish the thing that I want to do. But sometimes we have these conditional behaviors. Let's say that not every day do I overindulge on sweets, but I don't want to do it on any day. And so I need to figure out what is the trigger around me getting too many sweets. Let's say that I notice that I do pretty good when other people are home with me. Wife and kids are here. Fine. But if they aren't home, I go to the pantry and start eating cookies. What that means is my trigger is being at home alone leads me to eat sweets. And if that's the thing I want to eliminate, I would need to come up with some implementation intention around that trigger. So I would say, if I'm going to be home alone, then I will blank. And I would come up with what that is. If I'm going to be home alone, then I will fill up a glass of water on the countertop and set a sweet fruit next to it. So I could get an apple out next to the glass of water, or I could set out some grapes. And my implementation intention would help me with that, so that I know when I'm going to be home alone, I'm going to set out a glass of water and some sweet fruit. And then I can set a second intention that says, when I want a sweet, I go to this spot. So I have a particular place on the countertop where I can leave that treat for me, that healthy fruit that I just decided on. And I can say, when I want a snack, I will go to this place. So when I'm home alone, I'm going to prepare by doing this. And when I want that snack, I will go to this place instead of going to the cupboard for the cookies. By setting those implementation intentions now, I've told my brain I have a plan. I know exactly what I'm going to do. My brain doesn't have to say, hey, you're at home again. You're bored, you're tired, you're lonely, you're whatever, and now you're craving sweets. Instead, it can say, hey, you're hungry. Go to that place because you set out a snack and you intend to eat it. So I go to that place, and the snack that I prepared for myself is the snack that I want to prepare. Not the one my tongue is wanting, but the one that my body is needing. So implementation intentions are that easy. I love this book. It's Before You Know It by John Bargh. The Unconscious Reasons We Do What We Do is what it's called. Check it out. But it's very simple. When blank, I will blank. If blank, I will blank. And that's it. So you figure out what your intention is, figure out what the trigger is, tell yourself what it's going to be, and then set yourself up for success. So as you're going into this new year, setting yourself some New Year's resolutions, I want you to keep in mind, SMART goals are good, but it's only one tool in the toolbox. But there's another tool in the toolbox called implementation intentions. And it can help you with these recurring, ongoing habits, behaviors that you want to change over time or need to persist over time. You need them to persist over time. That's it. I mean, that's all I got for you. Subscribe, like, comment. I mean, this is my first video, so I don't even know what to say. I'm going to have to figure all that out. But I'm glad I did this. I had an implementation intention that said, when I get home from work today, I'm filming a video. And I did it. I got home from work, and from that moment to now, I've been doing little things all evening to prepare to film this video, and I did it. And you can do it too. So go set yourself an implementation intention and just see if it helps. Good luck out there.